Hey everyone, welcome to episode 20 of The Independent Agent. I'm Jordan and Justin's there. They're being across from me.
I am here.
He is here.
Present.
Metaphysically. We're going to start drinking. My question to you is, when you go to a wedding, what do you order?
A beer.
A beer?
Or two.
Never like hard alcohol?
No.
No. Okay. So now I'm going to hand you what you should. Okay. When you go to a wedding, right? Because you've just sat in a chair and watched something for like an hour and a half that was probably super fun and exciting, and you need to get out and you need to just relax quickly. A beer probably doesn't get you there fast enough. So the wedding drink is you want some kind of a whiskey on the rocks. Okay. So right now we're going to drink a rye. Sometimes it's a bourbon. Sometimes it's a whiskey. You're looking at me funny.
I'm what's the difference between a rye and a bourbon and a whiskey?
Okay, well, they're both whiskeys. Bourbon has to be, I believe it's like Scotch, where it has to be made in Scotland. Like, so there's whiskey. Scotch is a whiskey that has to be from Scotland. I believe bourbon has to be from Bourbon, Kentucky. I could be wrong. It could just be a classification that has to be made in the U.S. in certain manner, but I think it has to be from Bourbon, Kentucky. So bourbon is corn, so it has to be 51% corn, whereas a rye is 51% rye or more. So, so corn is going to be a bourbon's typically going to be sweeter, and a rye you're going to have some spicier, drier. So, I don't love sweet stuff. So,
all right,
here we're drinking. Okay.
And what happens if there aren't weddings taking place anymore for?
Well, a lot of weddings have been canceled.
Yeah.
You can just drink this at home then, or the office like we're doing.
No. Ooh. And I like my beer.
You did that little shaky face.
It did. Like at first I didn't like the taste, and then it really hit me. But I'm awake now.
You're awake now. Good.
I'm awake.
Question 1. I manage a small team and I'm struggling with one of my employees from both a productivity and a quality of work standpoint. She is normally very on top of things, so this is out of character. We've talked through some improvement objectives, but I'm not seeing much progress. It's gotten to the point that a more serious conversation needs to happen, but it seems like it is never the right time, and there is always another crisis with the client that she is handling that seems to dominate any attempt at a serious discussion. How do I tackle this challenge?
Well, I actually am very curious on how you would tackle this challenge.
How would I tackle it?
Yes.
Okay, let's break it down.
You can't pass the buck on this one.
Okay, I'm not going to pass it. I like to pass these ones usually because this is what Justin deals with in the office, and I just go, okay, I'm going to go to lunch or something.
But I'm replaceable, so...
You are replaceable. Good managers try to replace themselves, right?
Next Jordan up.
Yeah. Okay, so she's normally on top of things, but she's been struggling lately, so she's obviously got something going on in her life, right? Maybe it's coronavirus.
Wow.
What?
Okay.
Maybe it's cancer. Maybe it's marital issues. Maybe it's health issues. Maybe it's coronavirus. So we're talking about someone who used to be competent and successful and now is not. So there's something going on there, or they could just be bored, which frankly happens to me a lot. So I have to keep things fresh. But now that it's gotten to a more serious conversation, you got to be forthright. The biggest problem I see right now is that you're allowing them to dictate the nature of this conversation and when or if it happens. If you're the manager, you need to say, hey, we really need to talk. Carve out 10 a.m., 15 minutes on Tuesday. The clients will be fine. We really need to have a serious conversation. And I have different thoughts on something like this. I've had, I mean, if you guys have been listening, you could tell that I'm kind of the more direct to the point type of guy with some of these things. But I've had a lot of people say that I come across as aggressive and insincere and that I don't really care about them. And it's not that, it's just I like to be to the point, right? So I found success in my own life putting together my thoughts in an email and laying them out ahead of time and saying, here are my concerns. Here's what I've been seeing. I'd love to talk with you further about this. Can you think through some of this and then let's discuss? That way they don't feel like it's coming out of left field, because it's entirely possible that she's not aware of these things. But she could be very aware of what's going on. And I think you just sit down and explain, hey, I used to see A, B, and C. Now I see X, Y, and Z. Is everything okay? Are you doing all right? And start there. And work through it. And if she's combative and, fights it, then you have that more serious conversation of, look, we need the best of the best here. We need the best of you here. And if there's any way we can help facilitate that, if you've got other things going on, let us know. We're happy to help. But if it's not that and there's something else going on that you're frustrated here at work, or you can't do the job anymore, we might need to look at, replacing you. So I think you have the caring conversation first, and if it's not well received, then you go into the hard one.
So I think the encouraging thing is that the person likes dealing with crises. That's where they seem to put their time. And so...
Okay. Can we have an honest conversation real quick? There's always a fire.
I know. I have a point to this conversation. My goodness. Let your brother talk. There's wisdom afoot. Here we go. That person likes dealing with crises. They may blow them up bigger than they are, but you can leverage that in this conversation. And this is really their problem. It's not your problem, because the organization can always find another person to solve, a problem that, works the desk, et cetera. So what you do in this situation, I know, a problem that works the desk, it didn't make sense what I said there. You can find somebody else for this role.
You can let them go and replace them.
Yes, thank you. Yes. You translated Justinese into plain English. Thank you. What you can do is say to them, here's this problem. This is your problem to solve, because it is no longer workable for us as the agency, and you are falling short in XYZ area. How are you going to solve this problem for the agency? And you put it back on them. Now, they are either going to make a bunch of excuses, and you'll say, that is fine, but I still need you to solve this problem for me. I need you to get on top of this and solve this problem. Tell me specifically how we are going to address this. You put it onto their shoulders, and two things will happen. One, it's empowering when you can solve your own problem. But two, you're going to find out either there's something that's an extenuating circumstance that's really impacting them, and they're going to come clean in that moment, and just the overwhelming input from them is going to be, there's this really big thing in my life that I haven't been sharing with you. I've been carrying the burden all on myself. Or they're going to make excuses. And if they make excuses, then you're going to have a decision to make. But if they say something that's really big and overburdensome in their life, then you can say to them, we understand that. How do we help navigate this so it becomes a short-term problem versus this long-term problem? But still, you have a responsibility as an employee of this company to solve this problem. You put it back on them. That's their burden to carry if it's a performance issue that they've been notified and has not course corrected.
Yeah, and as always, you have to put this stuff in writing in their file.
Yes, you are. You're doing so well at HR these days.
Hey, I've learned a few things.
But it's their problem to solve. And if they're motivated enough to keep their job, they're going to solve that problem. And, they can tell you about the different circumstances impacting that problem, and you can lob questions back, but ultimately make it their burden and then say, hey, come back to me. I know you're on the spot right now. Come back to me tomorrow and give me your roadmap as a solution for this problem. And then hold them accountable to the steps that they say they're going to take. And if they don't take those steps, well, then, as Jordan says, you have an exit plan in place for that individual if they do not radically change.
Now, and again, on that, every state is different with their laws. But as a rule of thumb, Actually, we're not supposed to say that because the reason that's a terrible thing to say. As a general rule, right? Wait, you're looking at the rule of thumb?
Yeah, I don't understand.
Don't you remember what the rule of thumb? Look it up later. I don't want to get into it on here.
Okay.
Yeah, it's not good. I mean, if the reason I'm remembering is correct, if it's not, then
Were you watching Drunk History again? And then...
no. God. Speaking of drunk history, where were we?
So the general rule.
Yeah,
you completely lost.
About
Wow.
Slow to hire, fast to fire. If you know it's over, put the things in place and terminate. Like, don't drag things out longer than they need to be. So we're all guilty of this, right? You have someone, you like them, they used to be good, now they're not. You're trying to talk, you're trying to do all you can do to win them back into productivity. It's not working. You keep giving them chance and chance and chance. If it's not working and you know it in your gut, you got that feeling in your gut, put the documents in place you need, the documentation you need in place, and make the termination. Move on.
All right. Question 2. The office I work in is old and tired, reminiscent of Milton's basement office and Office Space. Some might find... Yes. Stapler. Some might find it to be borderline depressing when they walk in. The aged wallpaper, low ceilings, and poor lighting are starting to wear on everyone. I've tried explaining to management that the office needs a facelift, but we can't even get a fresh coat of paint. How do I persuade management to make some much-needed improvements? If there's anything that can be done in the meantime to lift the mood short of buying everyone red staplers.
Well, I went first last time, so you can go first this time.
So, a couple thoughts. One is, if everyone has been employed there, I actually think this is probably a newer employee, because it's not like it just suddenly grew old and stagnant in there. The office has been this way for a while. So people came to work looking at this old age wallpaper and low ceilings, and they've been there for a period of time, and knew that going into it. As far as things that can be done, I think you can celebrate the awkwardness of the environment and call it what it is. Kind of like if you had an old beat up vehicle and calling it the Beast.
So cheap.
You know what? I am thrifty, and
paint is super cheap.
Okay. One of these days, can we take a picture of the painting that you paid for that is on the wall down the hall? That is essentially
from like Home Goods.
Look, it's got white up top and then it's got black underneath, and we paid a consultant to come in and hang that thing.
She got it at Home Goods. It's not like it's some expensive thing. It's artwork for the walls. And just because you don't have like the emotional, like artistic,
I get depressed every time I look at that thing.
What would you rather?
Bright, happy.
Justin, we asked you what you wanted for your interior office, and you didn't give us anything.
Well, because when I'm in my office, I stare at the computer screen. But when I'm out and I see
when you're walking by that one corner of the office,
it's a square that's about 8 feet by 8 feet.
It's not 8 feet by 8 feet.
And the top 4 feet of the rectangle have white, and the black 4 feet underneath it is black.
Yeah, it's like a modern abstract piece. Like, I agree with you. It's not like, whoa. But again, it was a Home Goods piece.
Yes, but Home Goods had bright, fluffy stuff. So, as Jordan mentions Home Goods, you could get some artwork there and replace it there. But I think you own the beast that is your office.
I don't. I'm with you. I couldn't work in an old and tired environment. I couldn't. I'd lose my mind. So I get that there's certain things that like desks that are very difficult to replace because they're expensive, right? However, you guys could, even if let's say you're a small agency and you can't afford to do things, right? You guys could say, hey, why don't we all like chip in together and let's take a work day and make this place a better environment. And it's got old it's got old wallpaper. The wallpaper needs to go, right? So you guys can have a day where you tear down all the wallpaper, fix what needs to be fixed, paint the wall white, throw up some artwork, throw up some fake plants or real plants, and with a little elbow grease, your office is going to feel completely different. It's not that complicated. You can keep all the furniture, all the expensive stuff, but some paint and some volunteer work, I think, would go a long way.
Just made me think of mom and dad. They're redoing their master bedroom and the downstairs bathroom.
Uh-huh.
And for those who don't know,
why would anyone know this?
I guess there's no good reason, but we have a downstairs bathroom that has padded walls. Our parents have. We no longer live with our parents. They have a downstairs bathroom that has padded red walls, like an
they're pink, aren't they?
Red, pink.
Okay, but it's, what did Mom call it the other day? It's got like a scenescape on them too.
All I know is they're padded, like with 3 inches of.
My parents have downstairs 2 bathrooms, right? Both are like single bathrooms.
They made it men's and women's.
One is men's and one is women's. The women's, my mother calls the powder room, and it is the padded one. Are they keeping the padding with the remodel?
No, they're getting rid of it.
Wow.
Yeah, and actually when they're taking it off, underneath all the padded is the old wallpaper that they have.
Nuh-uh.
Yes, which I want them to keep because I think it's amazing.
Wasn't that like yellow or something like that?
It was white, and I think it had blue.
Oh, the blue stripe?
Yes.
Yeah. Wallpaper.
So I think you own the beast, because unless the person's willing to spend the money, or unless you get like Joanna and Chip Gaines to come in and do a fixer-upper on your office, which that could be their next.
A little paint goes a long way. A long way. Do a light color, because you know what I'm picturing? I'm picturing everyone's got those really dark, old, like probably redwood style desks, right? And the old mauve cubes, and they all got the fabric that's being torn up. The carpet is dirty everywhere. You got like nasty wallpaper that's peeling from places. You got the old lights that are like flickering, like ding, 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 ding. Like
worst case scenario.
That's what I'm describing. Old and tired. That's what I'm thinking of, right?
They also have chalk paint that you could do over that stuff. That's cheap.
Over the wallpaper?
No, not over the wallpaper, over the desks, to make it like instead of the chair.
Right. Yeah, no, my mother-in-law did that. They had an old table they loved, and they wanted to change the color, but they did that chalk paint stuff, and it was great.
Do a fundraiser. That'll teach management. Great, get a Arrowhead jug, and then like fundraiser for office remodel, and everyone throw change in there.
Yeah, I'm trying to think. I mean, I honestly, no. You know what you do is you do a video and take pictures of your whole office, and then put it up, and you do a GoFundMe, and you raise money and say, we live in this situation, and I bet that you could raise a couple $1,000s to do stuff with.
Or you do a video, do an office tour, post it on LinkedIn, and then when the owner sees the actual office on LinkedIn and sees the video, they may be inclined, because they don't care as long as nobody else sees that office, right? If no clients are coming, but if all of a sudden it's been posted on LinkedIn, they might have a difference of opinion, or they may just tell you to take it down.
I guess we've been answering. I mean, as best we can.
You could have an office space party.
Yeah, and you just take the drill out and start zzz, and then you kick down the cube.
Yes.
And then you just
destroy the
printer, take it out of the parking lot. Well, I guess you got to take it to the field.
Also, by the way, one of the ways we still haven't lifted mood we've talked about for years.
It's good to be a gangster.
Yes, you are a gangster.
It's a song that plays.
I know. But I have another thing that we actually have skipped at our agency that I'm actually upset by. We were supposed to watch Willow as an office.
Willow.
Yes. So you could watch an office movie in your rickety office to build morale.
Do you watch movies anymore? Do you just go to movies?
I don't go to movies anymore, no.
I haven't seen movies. Justin and I used to, when it was just, this is like 9 years ago, when there was just like 4 of us here, when we first left the company that we were at to go on our own, like twice a week at lunch, we would just go to the movie theaters, because we were in Irvine, right by the Spectrum. They have a big movie theater. We'd see every movie that came out. Now we don't see anything, man.
I know. We got to watch Willow.
I want to watch Willow.
Yes.
I want to see new movies.
Willow. We need to uplift the spirits of people. Also, we could always send Olivia out to go and, give some tips or something out to the office, right? She could do an office visit there, provide some ideas, some decorating ideas.
Is she designery?
I don't know, but
I mean, just offering her services.
She might sell some business while she's out there, right?
Okay, perfect. Perfect. Okay. I think I'm going to finish my whiskey and go home. I hope everyone's continuing to be safe out there. If there's anything we can do to answer your questions, please email Justin at Total CSR. If you would like to have us make your favorite cocktail or beverage, whatever that may be, shoot me an email, Jordan at TotalCSR.com. And everyone have a blessed day. Cheers.